Warm greetings to all the aspirants out there. My name is Dr. Darpan Ahluwalia. I have recently attained the All India rank of 80 in UPSC CSC 2019 examination. And I believe that this journey is not of a single person, but multiple people are involved in this. And since it has been fruitful for me, I would also like to share a few nuggets which have been really helpful for me in this journey. So I think we should start in the chronological order. I'll start with prelims itself. So in prelims, the books that are available, we already have the book list, but I'll just go through a quick recap of the books that I did use during the prelims preparation. So for history, there is a Spectrum. And in addition to that, I also had references with Bipin Chandra, and Tamil Nadu board history books are also helpful. And for ancient and medieval India, I would recommend Mr. Satish Chandra's and Mr. R.S. Sharma's books. And other than that, the reverse engineering of history questions really helps, because being a medical science student, it became monotonous for me to study history for such a long stretch. So I used to take mocks, and I used to do reverse engineering on them. For example, if there was the name of a king, then I used to search for the king and which are the various achievements, any coins, inscriptions related to that particular aspect. So this is for history, medieval, modern and ancient India, all of them. Then we come to the geography aspect. For geography, I would lay the focus on maps. Being very well versed with your atlas, I would say be friends with your atlas. Go through your atlas every day before sleeping for around 10 to 15 minutes, because these days UPSC is asking a lot on maps. Mostly they are easy questions, can be solved by logic, but then you need to really recollect the map during those exam conditions. So that's the thing, read your atlas very well. And other than that, of course, geography NCERTs are the cornerstone of geography preparation, be it prelims or mains. So +1 geography, physical India, physical India and the world geography, it remains very important. Then from the previous class 6 to class 10, the books, they are optional, but yes, I did go through them once during the very initial phase of my preparation. So I think that also somewhere sets a level for you. But then that entirely depends upon how much time you have in this journey. Since I had time, so I did go through the NCERTs of the junior classes also with respect to geography. Then I have also given a reading to G.C. Leong. So that remains the aspect for geography. Then we come to economy. In economy, I studied from Ramesh Singh, and but there's this thing that I would like to recommend. Do read the economy section of the newspaper, even if you have not started economy, and then search for those concepts online. Then from there you can make your notes. So after some time, all my economy notes, they were based from the newspaper itself, be it prelims or mains. Generally, we think that the newspaper is good for mains for economy, but I would say that you can do reverse engineering with respect to the prelims from the newspaper as well, and not refer to any book entirely at all. Then we have science and tech and environment. So for this, I might be biased because I have a science background. So I had the luxury of not reading the NCERTs, but I would recommend them to you depending upon what your background is. Other than that, I attempted both of these sections, science and tech and environment, from the newspaper itself, all the current affairs. I would recommend that you make your own current affairs in addition to following any current affairs magazine with which you're well versed and with which you are comfortable. So that is for the prelims. And overall, for each and every subject, if I have to point out one thing that I really applied during my prelims preparation, is the use of the reverse engineering, by which I mean the use of the hyperlinks. For example, if I'm reading about Kaziranga, then I'm not just reading about Kaziranga, I'm also reading about mini Kaziranga, that is Povitoda. Then I'm reading about the one-horned rhino concentration, the density, their range, whether they are only found in India or somewhere else. Then what is the Indian rhino vision? what is the latest census of the rhino. So this provides us with lots of confidence and with a holistic overview of the concept that you have just studied. So next time rhino census or anything related to rhino comes in the newspaper, you can automatically, your brain goes to that concept which you read earlier, and you have very cohesive notes, not bits and pieces splattered all over your current affairs notebook that you're maintaining. Next, in addition to this, I would also like to recommend for prelims also, in addition to your academic books and the syllabus, you also have to read the other books, which will help you not only for prelims and mains, but also for your essay and PT subsequently. I have a very humorous example to give in this regard. So generally we stay away from social media, and I watched the Reva royalty coming onto this dance show which comes on television. So I watched that, and he mentioned about Tansen because he originally came from Reva or something on those lines, he said. And the same question appeared in this year's prelims, which I was able to crack just with that old knowledge which was sitting somewhere in my subconscious mind. Next, Denisovians, the aspirants must be remembering that this question also came in prelims. What are the Denisovians? It was a very direct question. So it was either you know it or you don't. There was an either or. You could not take an educated guess, or you could not follow the elimination method. So for this, I had read Yuval Noah Harari's Sapiens book. So in fact, this word comes amidst the first couple of pages. So I was able to answer through that. So what I'm stressing is, just broaden your paradigm, read as much as you can, keep on making the hyperlinks to have a comprehensive picture. This will not only add to your knowledge, but also give you immense confidence sitting in that environment of appearing for prelims. Next, we move on to the next stage, that is mains. So for mains, mostly my material, it remained the same, but I'll just add on the books that I read in addition to my prelims, because I had already made notes for prelims. So ideally, all the notes should be made, like if you are attempting for next year, make sure that you have made all the notes by this December, and you're just adding bits and pieces from the other books that you might read later. So for history, I had a cursory reading through From Plassey to Partition, that is by Shekhar Bandyopadhyay for history. And it had really good enriching points which could have added value to my answers. And also for history, art and culture, I would say great focus should be laid on the making of diagrams. So in art and culture, questions especially, the answer does not seem very engaging if you're not drawing a diagram. And that diagram is, you don't need to be a very great artist to draw it. Just a diagram which shows that yes, you have the knowledge, and the examiner can read the diagram and get the gist of the important points that you've written in the answer. For example, if we talk about the Gandhara art, you know what are the various points, and you can make the picture and then just jot down the points over there. This will especially help you because some students are unable to complete the 20 questions on time. So diagrams really help you with respect to that. My idea was that if I'm writing 20 questions, in 50% of the questions, I used to draw diagrams and original diagrams, not the ones which are available everywhere, because that will add less value. So use your knowledge and try to draw a good diagram with respect to that. And art and culture, I forgot to mention it before. So I followed the usual book list, that is Nitin Singhania and the NCERT book on fine arts. And then we come to, so this was for GS1. And in the same book list remains, that is G.C. Leong, and then the previous year questions of geography. And society is also a very vital aspect of GS1. So in this, I focused on what is happening around me on the current affairs. And for example, if there is some important bill related to a certain vulnerable section, so you need to have very ready data on your tips. The census 2011 data, what is the status of that? And in this, I would say that this helped me especially with the beginning and the conclusion, because there is very less time. So even if you're beginning, you begin on a good note, then you get immense confidence to complete the next of the answer in a very good fashion. So this is for society. Then for GS2 also Lakshmikant and the current affairs analysis is important. For this you can follow various websites also, for example PRS, the legislative research for the pros and the cons and the suggestions or some alternatives or some case studies which are already available throughout India or even internationally. And then this is broadly for GS2, and for GS3 I think again the sources remain the same, that is for science and tech environment I followed this current affairs, and for economy as well for that matter. So I think in GS3 I would not be able to pinpoint one source. It was mostly newspaper and current affairs based for me. And for GS4 for ethics, it is very important that you have your ready points. For example, if we are only talking about say empathy, so you need to have a good definition of empathy which encompasses everything, preferably a diagram of something in which you can also show the empathy and the other values that are required for a civil servant. Connecting them, interconnections are especially very important. If you can add them, I believe it adds value to your points. And case studies. So case studies are a bit lengthy, so you really need to move your hand fast in the exam lest you leave it. So case studies are mostly based upon what has happened in the previous 1 year or 2 years. For example, when we currently the COVID pandemic is going on. So you need to make sure whatever best studies are coming out of every district, every state, make sure that you have a ready compendium of them, which come handy if there is a question on any health situation, be it COVID or be it the outbreak of cholera, typhoid, etc. So the basic overview remains the same with respect to any health condition or any disease outbreak. So you can always use that and save out on your time. Rest the case study format, it remains the same. And that is, you have to point out the dilemma, which are the stakeholders involved, and then you have to write out what according to you should have done, but always write it in the chronological order. So the least important should not be at the top. So the least important should be below where it belongs to. So take care of the chronology as well, and do not write whatever comes to your mind. Take a good moment's pause, make out a mental chronology, and then write over it. Next, we come to a very important segment of mains, namely essay. So in essay, I would recommend you to keep very simple, lucid language, but you have to spice up your essay with multiple examples and anecdotes. By multiple, I mean, do not think that if you have one example, then you will just harp over it and write the whole essay based on that example, because that is actually not adding value to our essay. So have multiple examples, brief explanations, interconnect them. Do not leave any open gaps at the beginning or at the end. Whenever you're making paras, then the subsequent para, it should have the connection with the preceding para. So what I used to do was that I used to write something on the lines, not only this, but or not only in this domain, but also this domain. So you have to create your own interconnecting line, and always write your essay in paras. According to me, that gives a very good visual appeal also to the examiner. It breaks down the monotony, but only have the relevant sentences in one paragraph. In addition to that, of course, we have to start our essay with the very good note on, you can write an incident, example, need not be real, you can also make it up, it could be a story, but if you do not have that, then don't worry, in the real-time conditions, you can always begin it with explaining the topic which has been given to you. And in the end, you always have to end it with a very optimistic solution, giving alternatives, suggestions, or if you have other models that you can explain which can be used in that particular context. And what I used to do was, after the optimistic end, I used to always end it with a quotation. Now, many of aspirants have this thing that they will not be able to reproduce the quotations in the real-time condition. So for this, I would recommend you to learn, memorize about 20 quotations which are very generic in nature. So they can be used in, say, an essay of education as well as health. By this I mean you learn something which is related to youth. So you can fix it up there. So this requires some intelligent making of the collection of these quotations. So this is it for essay. Good luck.